Hello, everyone, and welcome back. After a short little break, we are once again here to bring you more racing action. My name is Strifium, and joining me, as always, from the land down under, Mikal. It's time for Suzuka.
That it is. Good day, everyone in the chat. Hope you're all having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be watching us from the world. And yes, that is right, Strifium. We are here at the Suzuka International Racing Course for round 18 of the MRL Tier 1 Championship, just crowning a new champion in the Tier 2 division from that last race. And once again, a big congratulations to Domi for securing that title. But Tier 1 has still a way to go. Chen Jay leading the championship by a solid amount, but anything can happen very, very quickly in this grid. We've seen it all season, how tight it is, and it should be a really, really good one tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
All season long, as you said, Mikal. Of course, last occasion out was the Russian Grand Prix, round 17 last week. Before that, we had Singapore, Italy, Belgium, Hungary, and kick things off for the second half of the season. It was, of course, Silverstone, the iconic British Grand Prix. Now we're here in another very iconic setting. It is the Japanese Grand Prix, Tier 1. Quite the history around here, Mikal. I do believe there's a Ferrari in attendance today who can tell you all about that. I've been kind of ragging on about it all week. Move on from that. But yes, Japanese Grand Prix for MRL has its own history. The USGP next week coming through as well for round 19. Mexico for round 20. That's the 3rd of December. We have the Brazilian Grand Prix as the penultimate round for Season 3 action. And we finish things out where Season 2 began, in Abu Dhabi. It's been a very, very long time since we've been to the Yas Marina circuit. So we'll have to see what happens throughout the rest of these rounds. Now let's take a look at who is on the grid today. After looking at the calendar, we have, of course, the Italian of Brain Stew over at Mercedes. Partnering him, it's Becky B, the American. Then we have Alex Bitto, of course, the Spaniard. With the German of Brownie at Ferrari, we have Swifty, the Brit, partnering Microlander over at Red Bull. Yoda over at McLaren with Rackety. Remco van Houten, the Dutchman, with BTFU over at Renault. Shenjay and Freeware, very fast over at AlphaTauri this season. Of course, Fubar Sindako for Racing Point. Fubar yet to score a point this season. Today could be the day. It's anybody's. Nigel, Jean, Alfa Romeo. We have Astrodite and Valu for Haas. And it's King and Ace rounding out the 20 drivers for this one. So I'm very excited to go racing, especially when we take a look at, of course, these standings. It is round 18 action. Shenjay leading things, 227 points. He said he had a sizable lead. There it is, 227 points over Yoda right now, who was quite tight to him, but he's had a couple of rough rounds these past few outings. We'll see how he goes through Suzuka again. He's got his own history here as well. Freeware there in third, 138 points. It's an AlphaTauri-led championship with Mercedes in second, Ferrari in third. Multiple racing incidents, no major penalties, however, a lot of things resulting in no further action required by stewards last week. However, keep things clean here around Suzuka. We just had a very, very hectic race, of course, around Suzuka for Tier 2. Mikal, with that, I think we're ready to go racing.
Yeah, just waiting on one more of the drivers, I do believe. We'll see what's going on in a couple moments. But yeah, Suzuka, it's been a long time coming for all of these drivers. I think this is record numbers that we have in both tiers, actually. If you combine the two, I think we had something like 34 drivers check in for the Tier 2 race just past, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, Suzuka, very, very famous. Been the scene of a lot of drama, been the scene of a lot of triumph as well. You know, and some great overtaking. Like, who can forget, Fernando Alonso's move around the outside of 130R on the great Michael Schumacher in 2005, I think it was. Five or six. I get those mixed up sometimes. But yeah, and then the drama with the title deciders in both 1990 and 1991, if my history's correct, between Senna and Prost, and
That's right.
Of course Kimi Raikkonen's stellar drive back in 2003. So this circuit been around for ages, and of course you can't forget as well. Was it here at Suzuka, or was it another Japanese circuit where with Lauda?
That might have been
when it was rained out.
Sinai. I think that might have
That
been
might
Mount
have been
Sinai.
Sinai. Okay.
Or
Okay.
not
Okay. So
Sinai,
not
Fuji.
specific.
Sorry, I think Fuji.
Fuji. Okay. Yeah. Another Japanese circuit. But yeah, the Japanese Grand Prix, lots of history behind it. And Suzuka as well, a circuit loved by a lot of drivers, both in real life and I believe some in the game as well. Suzuka in the game is quite an oddity, but no, it's still lots of fun to drive. You know, those iconic S's, and then we have the two Degners, the spoon curve, 130R, the Casio triangle at the end of the lap. It's so many iconic corners and sequences that really just give the circuit its unique charm. It's the only figure of eight circuit as well on the entire calendar.
I love that figure eight dynamic because you can hear the cars. If you happen to be, stretched out on that grid and which is somewhat of a rarity that we've seen with Tier 1 action, but if you happen to be stretched out on that grid and there's a car just approaching up through 130R as you're going through the underpass, it is loud. It is so loud. Even in the game, I've never been. I'd love to go. I hear it is amazing. Yeah, so I'd love to go one day, but man, I can only imagine the sound coming out of that underpass as a car is going up overhead.
Yeah, you've also got that nice Ferris wheel as well. You just gotta kick back, relax. You just take a nice relaxing ride on the Ferris wheel as you just see cars underneath you going at 330 kilometers an hour, as you do. But all 20 drivers are now in the session, which is absolutely great to see. And we'll be getting underway in just a few moments' time, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you're in for a wild ride, because I certainly am. Striffium, you better be ready as well, because we are heading to Suzuka for the fourth time this week. And Tier 1, probably the one of the closest, if not the closest grid that MRL has to offer.
I am extremely geared, locked in, ready to go. Now, the fourth Japanese Grand Prix of the week. This is, I think, my favorite out of the week, I have to say. And Club is a very close second, but, Tier 1, the gaps that we've already seen set by some of these grids, I think things are going to get extraordinarily tight here around Suzuka. Not entirely sure what the weather's going to be like, but what I can say for certain, just based on what we're looking at, Mikau, it looks like we're going to have a dry running here in Quali. Will the race be the same? Will we have any kind of monkey wrenches thrown into the equation? We will find out. But why don't you give us a run through who is racing here in Suzuka today?
I would love to do that as Striffium, actually, but I've got a black screen at the moment. I'm only just loaded in now, so I can do it now. We got Becky B and Brainstew in at Mercedes, have Brownie and Bitto over at Ferrari, Swifty and Microlander in those two Red Bull seats, and then it is Rackety and Yoda in those McLarens. Remco Van Putten and BTFU there for the Renault squad, and we also have Sindako and Alex Yamamoto in the racing points. Freeway and Chenjay, as always, in the Alpha Tauris. And then I believe it's the Alfa Romeo is next in the line, which will be Nigel and John. And then S King and some idiot over at Williams. So I believe that's some idiot and Alex Yamamoto are the only two reserve drivers on this grid. Of course, I can't forget about the Haas boys. There's Valu and Ashdod as well. I missed them. My mistake. But yeah, full 20, only two reserve drivers. So lots of points on offer in both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship. So it's going to be very, very crucial that they get these good laps in qualifying, especially when there's rain forecast at the end of the race, Striff. So yeah, the Suzuka International Racing Course, going around just straight down into turns 1 and 2. Turn 1, first apex completely flat, then you're hard on the brakes, down into 4th gear, short shift to 5th to prevent the wheel spin through turn 2, and then we start the S's. Turn 3, avoid the curve. Turn 4, avoid the curve. Just let the car roll through and just keeping it as straight and as tidy as you can through 5, now into 6, then 7, Dunlop corner, the scene of many, many accidents over the past few races. And then we're heading towards the start of Sector 2 to the 2 Degners. First Degner almost completely flat out once you get the turn in the setup right. Second Degner a little less so, down a couple of gears, and then trying to make your way all the way into turn 11, the hairpin, down into 2nd gear. Really important to really maximize the exit, so because you carry that speed all the way through 200R, less of the 2 known corners. And then into the iconic spoon curve, turns 13 and 14. First apex in 6, and then in the 5th he runs a little bit wide. That's actually invalidated his lap as well, but he'll press on for the time being. Only a few corners to go. The classic and the famous 130R that I was speaking about in the pre-show, completely flat out in these cars. 8th gear at 310 kilometers an hour, Striffim. Absolutely insane speed. And then into the Casio triangle to end off the lap, and then you come across the line to end that lap very, very quickly. What's the lap time going to be? It's a 25.6 and validated, of course, as he ran just a little bit too wide at the exit of Spoon.
So Jean is out of the qualifying session. Microlander, a 125.869 here in that charging Red Bull car you're very familiar with as well, Mikhail. And John would appear to have crashed at quite an iconic location. Just driving along with Microlander now, we'll show it to you. It's off this left-hand side here, and I do believe it's just ahead of where we saw Alex Bitto and Yoda come together last time out. Now, the lap times coming through hard and fast. Shenjay on provisional pole now, 125.686 out of the AlphaTauri. Some idiot in the Williams this evening, a 125.773 just behind him. Just shy of 900ths of a second here between those two. Microlander third in that mixture.
Another 900ths. Another 900s back to Microlander. Absolutely insane stuff. And then we go into the 26s with Nigel being the first one of those with a 26.119. Tindako 26.2. Freeway 26.2. Yoda 26.4. Becky 26.4. S-King 26.5. Rackety 26.7. Yamamoto 26.7. And then we have the Aphrodite, Swifty, and Remco, who are lagging a little bit behind with the 27s and a 1 minute 35. But I do believe that Remco backed out of that one, and he is going yet again, Striffium, just making his way through Spoon now.
One thing is, Valu, we know, is a very, very fast driver here. He was the first racer out. We'll have to see what he's able to do once he gets a valid lap through, and you can see now Remco getting a purple Sector 2. Coming through into the Casio Triangle, that final chicane now, powering out. You said he's going to set another lap here. He actually uses all of that battery, and it's good for P6. A 126.151 out of the Renault. And things are very tight in this grid already. Gap from first down to 13th position here, where Rackety's currently sitting in the McLaren, is 1 second. Realistically, Yama's right there next to him, just 200ths back.
Yeah, so realistically, it's about what? First to 14th is a second. And where have we seen that one before, Strippium?
Tier 2 earlier today, Oceanic. We've seen it quite a lot lately.
Some really tight times. All these drivers giving them it all. Looks like Alex Bitto is getting a little bit of a tow from his teammate Brownie, heading down into 130R. We'll see if it's going to actually benefit him at all. He's got a purple Sector 2 apparently. One of the last drivers to be setting a lap time in this first run. We'll see what's going on. Gear 5, Gear 6, DRS open. What's the time going to be? It's another 26.1. It's 26.193, so that's good enough for P7. He's 700ths off his teammate, but there is this annoying Renault in the middle of Remco Van Putten, so I think that's just a testimony to how tight things really are on this grid, and no one is safe if one of these drivers is able to put in a once-in-a-lifetime lap.
Rain Stew right now, he's just crawling through 130R right now in the Mercedes. I thought he may have been flying, but I was mistaken. One thing to talk about, as you said, that Renault of Remco Van Putten. Wherever Alex Bido may land, Remco Van Putten not be far, because these two drivers, I swear it, Mikhail, they have got to be two of the tightest rivals we've got in the Misfits Racing League. They have battled in Tier 1. They have battled in reserve roles in other divisions. They have battled in club as full-time racers. These two, Unicorn and I, see them together on circuit so often, just as we have, of course, all season long. And when Alex sees the rear of that that Renault, I imagine he gets frustrated. Very similar to how, of course, we saw Hamilton this past weekend in Istanbul on the rear of course, Sebastian Vettel, his longtime rival. So I love these little dramas that occur within these grids when you've been racing with one another so long, and you've just always got that guy. And it's just as much as what you were mentioning earlier around this iconic circuit. You've got the rivalry of Prost and Senna to highlight things from the past here. So there's a lot of fun that can be had around such an iconic track.
Yeah, hopefully those two don't get caught in the drama that plagued Prost and Senna. But we'll move past that as the drivers are now beginning to start their second runs in this qualifying session. Only enough time to get 3 runs in realistically. But yeah, we'll see if these guys are able to improve. I'm currently looking at Microlander, who's making his way through the S's on his second flying lap. Looks very clean so far. Very nice brake and throttle control. A little bit squirrely out of turn 7. That's to be expected when you're right on the edge. He's half a temp up through the first sector split. It's looking like it's going to be a pretty good lap, at least so far. We'll see how he handles the rest of it. Into the hairpin we go. Slight lock up on the front left, but it hasn't really cost him at all. And now that fuel light flashing on, so he's running on fumes, Striffy. He's trying to get the absolute most performance out of that light car. 8th gear now into Spoon. Here we go, down into 6th, use a bit of that exit curbing, and then the second apex. Be careful not to touch the inside curb, as that will unsettle the car. But he keeps it nice and tidy. A very clean lap so far. What's the time going to be as he makes his way through the second split? It's 1.5 tenths. 1.5 tenths, Striff. This could be good if he's able to nail this final chicane. The Casio triangle, a little bit reserved, at least from the looks of things, but let's see what he's able to do coming across the line. It is enough for only P2, Striffium, a 1 minute 25.698. 200ths. Now, 200ths away.
It's a very tight gap there at the front. Very tight gap there at the front. Balu was looking to perhaps slot himself into that. He was actually charging on the rear of Microlander on a flyer. He invalidated, so he's now come back into the pit lane. Some idiot, another potential racer who could get up there, has now made his way back into the pit lane. He had an issue, I think it was through Spoon, resulting in an aborted lap. Meanwhile, Brownie in the Ferrari, he is currently up on his time coming out of Sector 1. He's just come out of the hairpin now, heading down through 200R in that scarlet red Ferrari.
Let's keep my eye on Chenjay. Chenjay improves. He takes out almost 2 tenths. It's now a 1 minute 25.509. So Microlander getting close to him, and Chenjay's like, nah, you got to do better than that.
Brownie getting a tow from, yeah, you guessed it, Alex Bido. There he goes, slingshotting Brownie now into the final chicane. Very tight on that inside curb. I thought I was going to see a red circuit map come up. This is going to be tight, Mick. What's the time going to be? To the line, the Ferrari P4. A 0.091 improvement, which really goes to show you what these improvements are. To get a position with that, it's just, look at how tight things are in this grid.
Oh, Nigel. He had a moment. He was really pushing, as you have to try and find those extra half a tenth in this grid, and he just pushed a little bit too hard into Dunlop. Turn 7, there's another driver off. I think that's Rackety. He's off on the gravel at Dunlop as well.
Dunlop is... It is a turn, Mikhail. It is. It really is. There goes... I think that was BTFU. No, excuse me. That was Remco Van Putten flying by. BTFU has just began a lap. I think Remco, his teammate, is flying, however. And he
Well,
is
they're
up
both
on his
flying
time.
straight
Yeah,
now.
they are both burning the rubber. Remco Van Putten leading out of the hairpin, however, out of the two of them.
Yeah, he's making his way through 200R now, heading towards Spoon. See what he does. Spots that 50 just after the 50. Braking and turn down a couple gears, down another 2 gears. Using that 4th gear. Some drivers like to use 4th, some like to use 5th there. Completely personal preference from my experience. But here we go. He's 1 and a bit tenths up. This could slingshot him into the top 5. Maybe top 6, maybe even. I don't know. We'll see what the time is, using a lot of that curb at turn 17. But here we go. DRS open, hugging it close to the line at the 25.942. And that's good enough for P5, Striffian.
Yeah, neat and tidy from him for sure. King right now in the Williams is flying through turn 1 just ahead of them. And there's a yellow flag popping up. Not entirely sure as to why. It was nearly the entirety of the circuit that was lit up yellow. But it is King holding things in 5th gear, interestingly. Coming through this first section, this now through the Dunlop turn, where we saw a couple of issues already and where we may just see plenty of them in the race.
Yeah. So still only a few minutes remaining. Should be the calm before the storm fairly soon. See one of the Williams heading out of the garage. It's going to be some idiot making his way out for what could be his final run in the session. Putting on a fresh set of softs, and let's see if he's able to find that, 3/10 that he needs to beat Chenjo to this pole position, because overtaking can be difficult here. Not impossible, but difficult. Definitely need to take a lot of risks in order to make progress around this track, unless you're already inherently faster just on pure pace alone. Yeah, lots of drivers in the pits now, just getting ready for their final runs. BTFU's done well for himself to put himself into 11th, which is the de facto second pole. Of course, getting that free tyre choice, and you might need that free tyre choice if the rain's going to come sooner than predicted.
King in the 9th position, a 126 flat. Yes, and the rain coming sooner than predicted. Valu has an interesting idea here, Mikau. He's out on the medium compound tires with 3.5 minutes remaining here in the session. The Haas driver now just coming out through Dunlop.
Medium's an interesting choice for sure. I think he's the only one to even attempt to qualify on the mediums. And yes, that is correct. So he's making his way through the 2 Degnas now towards the hairpin, down through the gears, 3rd gear, just to make sure that rear end stays in check. Sure shift to 4th, and just keep it tight, hug it tight to this right hand side for 200R. The sweeping right hander as we head towards the left of Spoon. Double apex through 13 into 14 now. Looks pretty tidy so far, but what is the stopwatch going to say, Striff? I don't know. We'll find out in a couple moments' time. Valu, a driver who's been very, very impressive over the short time he has been with us. 110.0 going through the second sector split. That's a pretty good time at the second sector split. What's the time going to be, though? Can he nail this final chicane? He uses all of the track available there, Striff. It looks like it's pretty good. A little bit of a slide out through the final corner. What's it going to be? It's a 26.2 on the mediums. Not a bad time for the mediums, but it's only good enough for 12th on this grid.
Only good enough for 12th. That's 7/10 between him and the leader of this pack on the medium compound tire. Although he's only showing up in 12th position, we have to really say here that is a blistering time on yellow rim tires, Mick.
That definitely is a very, very quick time. I think Ben in the Oceanic grid on his first run of mediums did a very similar time, and he ended up doing a 25.4 as his pole lap time. So very, very fast indeed. Yeah, this grid super, super tight as well. First to 16th, well 15th within the second, 16th just outside of the second, and all these drivers who have set times, aside from Swifty, are within 1.2.
Immediate now to the line here, Mikau. Very tight on entry. Well, on exit, I should say. He goes
He
P2.
jumps up.
Yeah, there it is. 10.5 improvement out of the Williams.
Yeah, there he goes. Into P2, 25.612. Does Microlander have an answer? Is he able to really re-snatch that front row position? No, he can't. He's spun it at Dunlop. That is his lap ruined. A very, very nice pirouette there, if I say so myself. Very good car control to keep that one out of the wall. But yeah, that's not going to go well for his confidence.
Those teammates behind him on an outlap probably wondering, what are you doing here?
We'll see if they've discussed anything over
Brown
Discord.
AP5. That's 4-5 now for the Prancing Horses. 125.879 out of the German Mickau. He's improved. The Dutchman is flying through Sector 1 right now to perhaps join Alex Bido. Like I said earlier, wherever you may find Bido, Remco van Putten not too far. Or maybe it was the other way around. Usually.
Oh, there goes Remco van Putten. He's off as well at Dunlop, and he's actually put it into the wall. No terminal damage, but that lap is certainly over. Alex Bido now make his way. He even has to catch the wrist. These drivers are really giving it everything as the checkered flag has now dropped. So any laps that these guys are on right now, they're allowed to finish them. That is it for the qualifying session. Alex Bido making his way towards the hairpin. Just going to see who's going to be the first driver to cross the line to finish their flying laps. S-King. Only good enough for 9th with a 26 flat. Next is Brainster. He's going to go into the pit. So it's one of the Haas boys. And that's Valor yet again on the mediums. He's trying to improve. He's up 2/10 apparently through the second sector split. So this could be an even faster lap time on these yellow red tires. Is it? Yes, it's good enough for P8 on those. P9 as Freeware snatches that by 0.02 of a second right behind him. And that is Nigel into P2 with a 25.602, 100th faster than that Williams in third place. What other times are we going to see as it come across the line? Alex Bido comes into 5th place with a 25.849.
Daco. The racing point now, P13. He does not get the improvement he needs. Yoda's up big here, Mickau. What's the time going to be out of the Albanian to the line? P10. He gets into that final position.
1 millisecond. 1 millisecond between Yoda and Valor. Yoda will secure that top 10 spot. I think the last car across the line will be Remco van Putten. I couldn't see where he went, but I think looking at his steering wheel, it'll be P7 for the Renault. So I don't know if he actually improved or not. But man, oh man, what a session.
Well, Shenjie on pole position. Nigel lining up on the front row in the Alfa Romeo next to him. That's some idiot on the second row in the Williams with Microlander partnering him in that Red Bull. Alex Bido rounds out the top 5 right now. If you look at the top 4, there is less than 0.2 separating them on this qualifying chart. Things are going to be very, very intense in this race, all the way down through into 18th position Mickau. The qualifying spread, 1.1 of a second.
1.1 seconds.
1.1 second.
Yeah, lots of ones there. But number 1 is, of course, Shenjie, after yet another stellar qualifying performance. Being on pole here at Suzuka, going to be crucial. Able to use that clean air to really just try and build a gap. Just waiting for the drivers to finalize their setups and strategies and actually see when this rain might be potentially hitting them. Because if it hits very, very late in the race, no, do you try the soft medium and then try and stretch both of those stints to make it to the rain? Or do you just, bite the bullet and go soft to hards? Or if you're in the back 10, start on the hards, go long until the rain, then just go straight from hards to inters. And we don't even know if the rain's going to be heavy enough for inters strip. This is, wow. These guys have a lot to think about on this formation lap.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with the pace of this grid, everybody being so tight, they have that idea in their head that they have the ability to kind of differentiate strategy, affect them to certain people that have to kind of go with the flow, what tires, the flavor of the month here. That's the thing. When you have that wet dynamic at the end of a race, we've seen these long stints, these long hard stints, or these medium stints, wherever they may come, really bite some of these drivers, because not only that, sometimes you don't even see those wet compound tires come in, and then those drivers on the dries, they get caught out, and you have a ton of issues.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Just waiting for the slower to get set up here, and there we go. The lights are out to start the formation lap. Chenjay will lead them away. Let's talk tires for this back 10, why don't we, just for a little bit. It's a very, very strong mix.
It is extremely diverse in that back 10 for tire choice. Value on mediums, I do believe, are a fresh set.
Yeah, he'd have a fresh set for that. Yeah, so the 6th row, both on the mediums. That's Valu and S King in 11th and 12th. BTFU behind them on the hards. So he's looking to go along to the rain period. Sindako on those mediums behind him. Rackety and Becky B on the softs. So they're looking to get a really, really good start, make up ground early, and just hold on to that track position. Yama just behind them in 17th. He's on the mediums as well. Aphrodite, yet the only other driver on the hards in 18th. Swifty on mediums. Then John, who was unable to set a lap time after that unfortunate accident. He's on the softs.
Just look, Rackety and Becky. They need to cut this grid up. They need to move hard and fast here. They cannot get stuck. They cannot get stuck in 15th and 16th here. Looking at these guys, John has a mountain to climb. He's got to fly.
Oh yeah, he really has to make up some positions really early in this one to really have any chance of getting a good finishing position, because once the trains form, it is very, very hard to break them, or like even make even the slightest bit of progress, despite a tire advantage. But don't look now, Chenjay. Not Chenjay, but Striff, but Chenjay, as I was saying. He's now on this grid, so we are just moments away from the start of round 18 here at Suzuka. And if these guys are anything like I was this morning, they would be terrified, especially if you're in this midfield, because you see all these cars and it's a narrow and it's a fast turn one strip.
Before we jump in, where did you finish in that race? Let everybody know. Where did you finish?
Second. I couldn't beat the flying bear. But
bear.
Just waiting for the light sequence to begin, and here we go. We have 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Suzuka for round 18 of MRL Tier 1 action. It's lights out and away we go. Looks like a pretty tentative start from most of the grid. Chenja getting a pretty decent one, but it's Tom Idiot now. He's side by side with Nigel heading into turn 1 round the outside. They're 2x2 with the Ferrari Red Bull of Vito and Macron behind us. They're still side by side as they make their way out of turn 2, heading into the S's for the first time. It's going to be Some Idiot taking that second position, having that inside line for turn 3. Nigel has to slot back. Vito moving up a place into 4th. That's Michael Lander down the 5th. Now it's Brownie, Remco, Brainster, Freeware, and Valu. The top 10. Valu having a great start on those mediums. Yoda falling down into 11th. No issues through Dunlop this time.
Wheel to wheel with Becky. Ooh, that was so tight there. Becky B round the outside of the first Degner Mikau, nearly cutting that McLaren up. However, both drivers still clean here. Back to you, sir, at the front of things.
Yeah, no real action at the front of this grid after the first couple of corners. Everyone just trying to find their rhythm, but it's so important to find that rhythm as fast as you can, because once you do, you're able to make a bit of progress. You can see all the cars that are making their way through Spoon at the moment. Absolutely incredible scenes here, but no one really outside of this gap to really try and make a move. Sindako, he's only a couple tenths behind, as is Microlander on Vito. We'll see what the wing setups are like heading into the Casio Triangle the first time. It's Chenjay having a 6/10 advantage over Some Idiot, who has 7/10 over Nigel in 3rd. Then it's Alex Vito, Microlander, Brownie, and there's a bit of exchange actually between Becky B and Yama. Yama's now through. Now Becky's side by side with Racky, the two soft runners in this back 10, going at it, as the timing tower now has completely, absolutely, proved itself. But it's Rackety getting ahead of Becky B on track now for, I believe that would be 14th maybe? I don't know, maybe they're actually down in 17th, 18th, saying that Yama's actually in 3rd for some reason. But Chenjay, he's able to pull this gap now, 1.1 seconds almost, 9/10. Just trying to break that DRS.
There's an issue.
Running wide. There's an issue now. That's John. He's now spun it at Dunlop. He's now got that car underway once again as the timing tower now fixes itself, thankfully. Only have to survive with that for a sector. Yeah,
It was a busy sector.
It's a busy sector. Yeah, the massive train all the way from first down into 19th, still within this DRS range. Chenche is doing all that he can to break it. He has a little bit more battery than Summit at the moment. He's going to be trying to use that, but Summit, he's going to be trying to use that, plus the slipstream to try and stay with him as close as he can for as long as he can, Striffian.
Take a look at the position changes here on circuit now. There's quite a few drivers that have made up position. Right now, Brainstew has gone into the rear of Remco through 130R. Has he managed to keep that car out of the wall?
I don't see any damage to the offboards.
Oh my, the luck on that Mercedes. The Italian's going to be happy about that. But Sindacco, his rival, the countryman, getting through now. Ahead into 12th position.
The racing point. Yama, he's looking at the inside, has a little bit of a peak, but not quite close enough to make that one stick. DRS now is an air, and there's a spin. That's a Brainstew. He's gone around at turn 2, and he's going to be falling all the way down this grid back into 20th place. So from what that one mistake into 130R has cost him a ton of ground. But I think with this DRS now opening, Alex Bitto is the only one who's broken the chain. So these top 3 have stayed within DRS range for now. Chenche doing all that he can. That gap is still 9/10 of a second. But some idiot doing just enough to stay with the AlphaTauri for now. Nigel as well on the cusp. Bitto's now brought himself back into it on the cusp after a great exit out of the hairpin. Hashtag pad traction. But he's made his way back into this DRS train. And yeah, we have a race. We certainly have a race, Striffian.
Oh, I am just shocked that Brainstew managed to keep that car out of the wall and have no damage. I mean, he's lucky. Let's call that just pure luck for that. That's, I think, what we can all agree with. Of course, we run full damage in these races, and he's fortunate to only be 1.5 seconds away from Jean in 20th compared to potentially out of this race. That was a big slide out into the wall there for him. His teammate, however, Becky B, DRS overtake now. He is getting quite close to Rackety. Rackety's been doing his own style of, well, smooth operations here in this one. He's had a few exchanges with drivers here already, but now he's got Becky B, who you know, of course, as a rival and a good friend, to be quite a quick driver, looking to get some luck on his side today.
Yeah, he would definitely be disappointed with his qualifying performance. He's on these softs with Rackety just to try and make up some early ground, but it's around this stage where the softs start to overheat and they start to wear a little bit. They aren't giving as much grip as they used to, and it might be costing these two just being stuck behind Yama in 13th. But absolutely incredible close racing from all of these drivers so far on this grid. Just trying to keep an eye as well on Microlander and Freeware respectively, because they are very close to their nearest rivals as well. But it's Becky B just holding station right now. John, very close to the back of BTFU on those softs as well. He might be looking for a move into Spoon. No, not quite. Runs a little bit wide. But he's going to try and set himself up for a better exit. And, oh, he has actually a snap of the rear, so that's not going to be on. But back to the front of this grid. Microlander, about 4/10 in it. Just under now. Between himself and Alex Bitto. Unable to really get the power down out of that final chicane. So that's going to really cost him. But Freeware, he's done well. Becky B will be the first one to receive a penalty. And now it's Freeware. DRS overtake. Looks to the left-hand side. Round the outside. Heading into turn 1. They're still side-by-side, Strippium. As they make their way through turns 1 and 2, Remco Van Putten has the inside line. He squeezes Freeware out just a little bit. Freeware has the inside, but he has to yield. Remco just saying, nah, you stay behind there. And that has put Valu right back into contention on these mediums, right as the softs are going to be starting to fade away a little bit.
That was very tight between the Dutchman and Freeware here. And Valu, as you said, is going to be thrilled about this. He's on the mediums. He's going to be that lead driver on the mediums. I think we're going to see around lap 7 here. Valu's going to open up on those, and he's going to start to really get some pace behind these soft runners here. Right now, he's just rubbing his hands together, looking for opportunity. Only one driver right now with a penalty. That's Becky B. He's taken 3 seconds. I love the fact that we can see that now. Absolutely love that. So we can give you guys some great information, letting you know who does and does not have penalties right now. But Freeware, as it was him who made the initial lunge at the Dutchman, Well, you know what that means, Mikau, and that's that he isn't done. But meanwhile, up ahead, Microlander on the rear of Alex Bido, just the same, as they make their way into the chicane. Gonna hold on with Freeware for just a second. See if he looks to have anything going on the Dutchman. Now it's down to Microlander. How's the exit out of this chicane? Does he have enough battery? But Bido's got that DRS holding him with Nigel just the same. I don't know if he'll have the run here, Mick. Freeware is in much bigger trouble.
Alex Bido as well. We'll go back to Freeware. He's unable to make the lunge into turn 1. But there's a bit of a tap, actually, onto the Renault. So very, very tight between those guys. Microlander is right on the gearbox of Alex Bido as well, just ahead of them in this battle for 4th place. Nigel working wonders for Alex Bido, just keeping within that DRS, preventing Microlander from really mounting in an attack. But they're losing time to these front two. Samir has been able to stay within that DRS range of Chen Jay. Now Nigel's down to 1.7 seconds behind the lead two. So absolutely unfortunate scenes for that Alfa Romeo, but he's still in 3rd and he still hasn't binned it yet. So that's a start. But these softs, they're going to be starting to really wear out, really start to overheat, and they get very, very slippy very, very quickly. I can tell you from experience, Stryfium. So these guys are going to have to be careful, especially when they're in the dirty air of a car in front of them.
Holding on with Alex Bido right now. Alex Bido, with his great history around this Suzuka circuit, under threat, just he's been under pressure. Well, let's be honest, this entire grid's under pressure. Yoda now has had some kind of disconnection issue. This is going to expose him to the drivers behind and lose him time to the drivers ahead. We'll see about getting him back into things, but now Microlander with a real serious exit out of the chicane. He's very tight to the rear of Alex, but Alex, with that DRS, he's just going to hold well with Nigel. Maybe even have a move on Nigel, which I think at this point in time could be a potential mistake because Nigel isn't close to the drivers ahead. He needs to catch things up, and maybe Alex Bido can pressure Nigel. Hey, go quicker, because I've got this Red Bull behind me, and I want to jump you and get some DRS at the same time, because if he doesn't do that, it's going to be real tough for Alex Bido to pull away from Microlander regardless if Nigel is just holding him up. Because it'll just be Microlander to move ahead of the Alfa Romeo. But Nigel, you can't forget about Nigel. Nigel, very capable driver here. He's in 3rd position. He's got that track position. He is very quick, as he showed us that he's extremely quick here with that 2nd position in qualifying.
Well, there's Sadako on Yoda, as Yoda has just rejoined this session. And just look at the traction, the grip out of the hairpin. Sadako is now through for that final points position, but I don't think Yoda's too happy about that. He's now back in that car, and we can tell because those gaps on the timing tower have completely vanished. So he's now back in this race, which is great to see. He's going to be trying to make up that lost ground from his AI car. But speaking of pressure, Microlander is putting a lot of it on Alex Bido. He's right up on that gearbox, a slight lock up on the front right, actually, to boot, just to make sure he doesn't run into the back of the Ferrari. But I think he's closer than he has been on any previous occasion. He has that overtake button in full utilization. Alex Bido only has 4%. Could this be the move strip for him? Microlander looking up the inside into turn 1. Alex Bido leaves the space, he leaves the door open, but it's not quite enough. Microlander just has to be another half a tenth or so closer on the exit of the last corner, and he almost ran into the back of Alex Bido, as Bido's really starting to struggle on those softs.
I don't think he likes Microlander barking up his gearbox here, Mikau. We've seen that before with Alex coming through S's. Yama has had an issue getting him out of this session. This has dropped his car into Rackety's grasp in that McLaren. Things are less than 2 tenths between these two. But of course, we still want to keep on as best we can with the action at the front of this field. Microlander has put immense pressure on this Ferrari. But Alex Bido still holding on to Nigel ahead.
Yeah, but the cracks are beginning to show. A little bit of a mistake in the S's on that previous run on this current lap. So the cracks are starting to show through. Microlander is doing a really good job at mounting pressure, and I think the pressure is also mounting for our current race leader, as some idiot has taken out 3 tenths from the back gap. So that's something else to keep an eye on.
Well, the fight.
Microlander, he's a bit back as well.
Well, the fight for this 11th position's changed. Becky
no,
B.
Now, 130R, the battle for 11th place. Becky on the inside pushes the AI of Yama out of the way. Rackety gets through as well. Rackety going into the Casio a little bit deep. There goes Becky B as we have our first few pit stops of the race. It's Chenjay onto those mediums, Nigel onto the hards.
And Rackety ahead of Becky now, coming down into turn 1. We haven't gotten a full interval update just yet. Now it's coming across. Becky B within half a second of Rackety. Yama is back into control of that racing point, hence why we had the desync on the timing tower. But one thing to talk about is still this fight for second position. Alex Bitto now coming through the second Degner has still got this Red Bull just sitting on his gearbox, Mikhail, and they are now into second and third position of this race.
Yeah, Nigel with that pit stop has now exposed Alex Bitto. He'll no longer have that DRS, and he's only down to 10% battery strip. I mean, we shouldn't be too surprised. It is Alex Bitto, of course. If you've been watching us for the majority of the season, you'll know that Alex really likes that overtake button, but he's got basically no reserve. But thankfully, Microlander has also used a lot of his trying to get past on previous laps. And I think that Alex Bitto is going to try and hold up Microlander just a little bit to allow his teammate Brownie to get in on this action as well.
Microlander's just, oh, he's waiting, and he's gonna have a good run here, and he's got that advantage of DRS. But Alex Bitto says, "Hey, let's go into the pit lane."
They both fit.
Oh, how tight it was for Microlander! Big lockup from him onto the way into the pit lane as well. But those tires are now done for him.
It's on the pit crews now. Alex gets a really good stop. Microlander gets held a little bit because of that good stop from Ferrari.
BTFU, sorry to interrupt you there, Mikhail. BTFU, these drivers have not yet pit. BT on the hards. He's very tight to the rear of Yama, coming down into turn 1, wheel to wheel on the inside between these two. Swifty with the front row seat in the Red Bull behind. BTFU now is going to fall off of Yama, living to perhaps try and get this done another day. Oh, but Swifty's looking for gaps now as well, Mick, and he's on these medium compound tires. He's got a little bit more grip perhaps than BTFU.
Yeah, those hards, they don't have a lot of grip, but they certainly last a long time. And it's Chenjay right on the back of these three as well. Hello. So things are really starting to spice up. BTFU, under the pressure, has now picked up a 3-second time penalty, Striphium. Absolutely unfortunate for the Renault driver. But Swifty
Chenjay,
he's trying to make his way past. He has to get his way through this traffic, because the longer he stays behind here, the more that some idiot's overcut is actually going to work, because some idiot, he has that clear air, even on those worn softs. If Chenjay can't clear this traffic, and soon, some idiot might actually steal the lead of this race on the second stint. Let's see what Chenjay's able to do. He has 63% battery. The two ahead of him, or the three ahead of him, I should be saying, less than 10%. Brownie now into the pit. Somebody staying out yet again on the inside now. That comes to the outside. Chenjay side by side into the Casio triangle. Swifty doing all that he can to deny this AlphaTauri, but it's not going to be enough. Chenjay is now through for 10th place on track. Now he has BTFU in his sights. More drivers coming to the pits. That's Rackety as well. So we'll see what's going to happen here. BTFU, he has that DRS. That's allowing him to stay with Yama just for a little bit longer. But Chenjay, he's making his way. He's still right on the back of this Renault. Oh my goodness, BTFU, he's looking for a gap yet again in the S's. Maybe that's just his line, I'm not too sure. But he gets so close to the gearbox of that racing point, that pink Mercedes, making their way through the Dunlop curve as we speak. Chenjay, he must be infuriated in that cockpit at the moment. Just can't find any way past this traffic. And the longer that this goes on, some idiots
overcut. This is the last thing he needs.
More and more.
Yeah, it's the last thing he needs.
BTFU side by side.
Wow!
Trying to go around the outside at the hairpin. That's completely up in the door for Chenjay as well. Chenjay now side by side with the Renault. A little bit of contact there, maybe. No, they're keeping it clean for now, but BTFU's now boxed in. Is Chenjay going to get both of them? Idiots, there's a bit of contact. Chenjay's go to the grass, and there's contact. The pulse is at Chenjay, spinning at Spoon, and he is falling down. It's a 14th place. Oh no, and as I say, that's some idiot now into the pits as well.
Alex Bitto has made it ahead of Swifty now here, Mick Allen. Here goes Nigel. He's still stuck to the rear of this racing point, and it's been one problem for, of course, the racing point. Look at Swifty with a big lunge into the chicane. Remco on the rear of this has been caught up in all of that. Chenjay is going to crawl back through into 12th position on these fresh mediums regardless. And he's going to be thrilled that there was an incident between those two. Remco Van Puten's going to be very upset in that Renault about the lunge coming out of Swifty there, because that has had a massive domino effect. He's coming into the pit lane. Nigel coming through sector 1 around the outside as we make our way through turn 3. Oh, he's still with Yama.
Oh, Nigel. He's now through on those fresh hards. Absolutely crucial move. Great racing. And Alex Bitto as well. Now he's looking at the racing point. Who's struggling on those aging mediums. The fresh mediums have so much more grip, Striffium. This is absolutely insane. Is Alex going to go for a lunge at the hairpin? He's looking at the inside? Yes, he does. Later on the brakes. Yama tries to close the door, but he can't because there's that Scarlet Red Ferrari just halfway alongside. But he'll hold that position for now, and right behind them, BTFU, he's making up ground on these hards as well because Yama's really struggling. He's really holding up this Ferrari. But, oh my goodness.
Yama's had an issue. He's had an issue. He's had a loss of traction on the exit out of Spoon here. Alex Bitto smells the blood. He's going for it, Mikau. And look at this run out of the Ferrari coming down into 130R now. He is going to look to go down deep into this chicane. Are we going to see the move? Yes, to the inside. The Ferrari, a big lock up there. A little bit of contact. Yama now wide. He's been spun round. Alex Bitto through into 7th, and there goes BTFU barging his way through. Yama into the pit wall. He's into the barrier. He's going to just be able to get that car under control. He's not out of this race just yet, but he is not going to be thrilled about this. Brownie in 9th position, hunting down BTFU for 8th, and it's now the BTFU, of course, in 8th position in that Renault, caught between 2 Ferraris.
Well, that's another Renault caught between 2 Ferraris. It was so unfortunate with Yama. He got a slight tap from Alex that put him onto the left-hand side of the track, and he wanted to pit, and there were 4 cars coming right behind him, and he just couldn't cross across that traffic. So he couldn't get into the pits. He got tapped yet again trying to enter the pits because he was a bit impatient, and that just completely sent him into the pit wall. But very lucky to keep that racing point away from terminal damage. Chenjay and Brownie all over the back of this Renault Striffium. 2.5 tenths is the gap, and it's closing. BTFU on those aging hards. Oh my goodness, we are seeing some incredible racing, really tight racing, a bit of drama here as well at Suzuka this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, if you aren't enjoying this, I don't know what will impress you. That's now Brownie heading down the inside into 130R. He's got the move clearly done before turn 15. So that's now the Ferrari 7 and 8 in this one. As we're approaching the halfway mark in this race now, it's Chenjay next on the hit list. BTFU, he's really starting to stroll against these fresh medium runners, and Chenjay, just look at the run he's got out of the final corner. It's going to be a no contest regardless if BTFU has DRS. I think Chenjay is clearly through into turn 1, or is he? Yes, he is. BTFU lets the Alpha Tauri through, but oh my goodness, that is some really close racing. Michael Landon now into the pits. Where is he going to come out? I think he's going to be coming out right in front of his teammate. But out of all of this, Summit now, the current net leader of this race, has now caught back up to Aphrodite, who is yet to make a pit stop. And this could get spicy as well. So Summit now has his own traffic to get through. Chenjay couldn't really get through his effectively. Let's see if Summit is able to get through his.
I cannot believe the dynamic we've seen from strategy now come across here. Some idiot is in a prime position because these mediums, should he come through into some rain and it not be enough to go to wet tires, he's in prime position. You see the drivers on hard stretching, of course, potentially to the rain. They've got to go the distance. We're just past the halfway mark now. Some idiot has Aphrodite in his sights here. Aphrodite yet to pit in this race is going to fall with ease to the Williams. And one thing I have to say, I have to give a big shout out to Wisp in the chat today, Mikal. He is acting as the de facto pit engineer with the board for the Ferraris, signaling Alex Bitto to let him know, keep up the good work, buddy. You're doing well here in Suzuka. Keep it going.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic because Wisp drives the AlphaTauri in Tier 2, if I'm not mistaken. And it's the AlphaTauri of Chenjay who's putting on the pressure on the 2 Ferraris. So here we go. 2 tenths is the gap between the 2 Ferraris. 3 tenths is the gap between Brownie and Chenjay. It's now extending a little bit as Dirty Air comes into fruition through this first sector of the track. But BTFU is struggling on those aging hards as you would expect. Now currently 2 seconds behind that crew. Braistu now making actually a nice move on Jean for 14th place. Freeway setting the new fastest lap as well to boot. He's down in 16th at the moment. So not a good outing for the AlphaTauri squad at the moment. But yeah, the two Williams are now starting to get a bit close. Actually, no, that's S-King on Sindako in this battle for P2 on circuit at the moment. There's quite a few close gaps, but this one that's probably the closest is still this one between 8th and 9th. That's Chenjay and Brownie heading there into the spoon curve.
Chenjay going to be very careful through here now, Mikhail. Very careful.
Oh, yeah,
here.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He's had one spin there. He doesn't want another one, but he's having that overtake. You see it on, off. Joseph gets a little bit of extra speed. Is it going to be enough? He's looking to the outside of the chicane. Brownie's squeezing right onto the grass. Absolutely. That's definitely like exactly a car's width left there on Brownie's end. But he defends well. Sindako now onto a set of softs.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Onto a set of softs to the end of this race. Now Nigel down the inside of Aphrodite into turn 1. Absolutely very, very nice move there. Sindako's going to be coming out in, is it going to be P11 or P12? I think it's going to be P11. So the racing point, just outside of the points, but he's on those fresh, soft compact tires, and compared to those hards, that is a major, major tire advantage.
This has been a thrilling race, and you know what we haven't had yet, Mikhail, is a safety car. I thought for sure we might have seen one with how tight things have been. But there really hasn't been... We've got 20 drivers still in contention here on the 16th lap. And it's... I don't want to go and jinx things here. It'll be like that supercars race we had been watching around Mount... oh, man. We'll call it here. Lap 20. Lap 20 is going to be that crucial lap, Mikhail, where things are going to start to hit the fan. Because who knows when the rain's coming.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think maybe people in the chat might have forgotten. I mean, I certainly forgot during all that action. There's still rain forecast at the end of this race. We don't know when it's going to be coming. Valo, our current race leader, is now into the pits. So he is going to be getting off those old mediums, as will S-King. So Summit will inherit the lead of this race officially. But there's a side-by-side action actually between Chenjay and Brownie. Chenjay unable to really get the move done, but he's got the better exit just slightly on this Ferrari. They both have DRS and overtake in utilization, but Chenjay's out of battery, and that's Valu now slotting his Haas in between the two Ferraris. Now it goes Haas, Ferrari, AlphaTauri. Hello. That's interesting. And now he's on a fresh set of softs, so he's in P5 actually. Wow, he's done very, very well in that medium stint. The overcut has worked to perfection for the Haas. He's now on some really, really nice tires. He's already on the back of Beto, putting so much pressure on. And the cork in the bottle at the moment is Aphrodite on those hards, just waiting for the rain.
Well, Alex Beto is not going to be happy about this. Valo around the outside of the hairpin. He's got a lot of traction, but it's not enough to give him an exit that he wants just yet. Within 2/10, however, look at the overtake utilization. Look at the speed and traction coming out of these fresh, soft tires. He's already cleared Alex into 4th position, and his teammate Aphrodite, guess what, Mikhail? I have a feeling this door is just going to open right up for Valu. There it is. Aphrodite right behind him now. Is he going to shut the door on Alex? Valu isn't ahead just yet. These two are still wheel to wheel in the Haas cars. He's going to sneak through. What has Aphrodite done? Aphrodite has just let Alex get at his teammate here. This is very, very interesting. And now Brownie, with the DRS, is going to dispatch this Haas just the same.
I think so, but he's not getting. They're both using overtake and DRS and slipstream. Brownie's not going to be able to do it.
Oh, he's just sticking that car in Brownie's way right now, and he's on 17-lap old hards.
Yeah, as is the two drivers behind that little battle, BTFU and Sindako. Sindako also on those fresh softs. Now finds himself behind the Renault in 8th place. He's going to try and make his way through as quick as he can. Brains2 is also making progress. He's just silently there in the back there, making his way into 13th. So now he and Becky are now line astern, position-wise at least. Maybe not in track. There's still a decent gap between those two. But this battle... Oh my goodness. Aphrodite, I don't know what was going on there, but you have to consider now with these fresh softs, Valu's going to be catching Nigel at a rate of knots for that 2nd position.
Nigel on those 8-lap old hards could really use a safety car right now. But something else here that we have to look at There's a ton of penalties across this board, Mikau. We have the ability to view these now. Nigel, Bido, ETFU, as well as Brainstew, Rackety, Freeware, all with 3-second time penalties. Van Putten has climbed to 5 seconds, and you can see in Becky B's case, 11 seconds. Penalties are going to play a role in the end of this race. We still have some racing to go, and let's take a look as Brownie now hunting down, of course, Astrodate. Astrodate has made the call, I do believe, to come into the pit lane.
Yeah, those hards are done. The rain isn't coming yet. There's a few more clouds than when we started this race, but still nowhere near enough to warrant any kind of downfall. So, yeah, I think they're just biting the bullet, going on a fresh set of softs, and just saying, you know what, we'll just do some fast lap times and see what we can do on these fresh tires.
Microlander on Freeware, and Freeware with a snap to the outside. This is going to just let Microlander breeze on by him. A little bit of a left tap, and there's an end plate off of that AlphaTauri. It's just flipped from under that car. Freeware is not going to be happy about this. He's not going to be happy about this at all.
Freeware, I think, has gone from bad to worse, but Valu at 200 Stryfium heading into Spoon. Down the inside for Spoon. He is now through for P2 in this race, and there's just one driver left between him and victory here at Suzuka, and that is some idiot just 3 seconds up the road on mediums compared to softs. Let's see what the pace difference is like if Valu can make up the gap in these 9 laps remaining, or 8 laps remaining, I should be saying, as some idiot now starting lap 20 of this race in just a few moments time. The 2 Ferraris also still very close to get there, and Chenjay has not been able to pass these 2 Ferraris yet for what seems to be like 10 laps or so.
Chenjay would have been in a prime position to be in the race lead right now had he been able to dispatch these 2 Ferraris ahead. They have been the thorn in his side for the last, well, I think it's been nearly 8 laps now for this. And Alex Bido and Brownie are going to be thrilled about this. Brownie playing rear gunner right now. He's a very, very difficult driver to pass in itself. And that brings me to my next point. Valu is gaining on some idiot at a rapid rate, but are those softs going to have enough pace to lock down the position from some idiot? Catching him is one thing. Passing him is an entirely different story. A very capable driver, some idiot, leading this race.
Yeah, he's certainly very experienced at controlling a race from the front. Very, very esteemed, very, very fast driver, and very, very consistent as well. But yeah, I'm very stunned at how this race has gone, and the clouds have come to play. Stryfium, it's now definitely overcast. So, rain, when? 24, 25? I don't know. It could be even sooner. We are in Suzuka, Japan, so rain certainly is no stranger to these parts. But I'm just very curious as to when it will be coming down, as Brownie, he has a little lock-up into the Casio yet again. Bido is doing a superb job, but I think they're going to have the switcheroo now. Yes, they are. So Brownie will now take lead from Alex Bido, but Chenjay can't find a way past. Despite that, Brownie is now through. Bido into 5th. Chenjay still in 6th place, and Sindako on those fresher softs is going to be starting to catch as well. Yoda in 8th. He's just been chilling there, just all by his lonesome, just running his own race, but he's in the points still, so good job on him, as is S-King on those fresher softs. And Becky B, after that horrible start and that horrible qualifying, he's now still in the points. He does have a lot of penalties, but he does have a 9-second gap back to his teammate, who also has a penalty, so he might be safe.
Yeah, he might have something to work with there in that gap right now. Chenjay, oh, cheeky look at Alex into that hairpin. Alex saw it coming. He closed the door. And this is a very nice little dogfight between these two. Alex Bido switching with Brownie, now going to play rear gunner, as Brownie is going to look to escape, and I think Brownie might have a little bit more pace in the tank in that Ferrari to maybe go and hunt down Nigel here. There's still a little bit of racing left, and Nigel 2.3 seconds off of Valu. Brownie 3 seconds off of him.
Chenjay's gaining Striff. He's got the slipstream 130R. Alex Bido, he completely misses that apex. But it's not going to be enough. Chenjay, yet again, still so close. He really has to get the exit out of this final corner. But I don't think it's enough. Bido still has that DRS, but only just. only just has that DRS. Chenjay very low on battery. Alex Bitter actually has more battery than his competitor for once. So yeah, he's really doing a good job. His driving is absolutely superb at the moment. But the longer that this goes on, Sindako, he's taking out another second of the gap, and the laps keep ticking. We're now on lap 22 of 27 in this one. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is MRL Season 3, Round 18, Tier 1 action. Of course, here at the Suzuka International Racing Course. Yes, that is the full name. Surprised me as well. But Astronaut, he's still trying to make his way past Jean. I saw the gap was about half a tenth through turns 1 and 2, but unable to make the move just yet. The clouds are here to play. Is the rain going to come? Yes or no? Predictions in the chat, if you please. This one is going to get hella spicy very quick. Yes, especially if Chenjay remains as close to Alex Bitter as he has been for the past 10 laps.
Astrodate sticking with Jean. He's on fresh softs. BTFU behind him, 4.6 seconds back. They're on these fresh soft compound rubber tires, and freewares come in as a result of that damage he took on the rear of Microlander earlier. And Chenjay just can't dispatch these Ferraris. He is not going to be too thrilled about this. Rain could give us a dynamic. I thought I had seen it start, but I'm not going to go ahead and call that just yet.
Alex Bitter, he doesn't have that DRS. Chenjay is using everything that he has. He has a look to the inside. Is he going to go for the lunge? No. Very smart there from the AlphaTauri. Very patient, because that would have been quite the dive, and that would have been disaster for both of them. I would have to do the meme against Drift, wouldn't I, if that happened?
I think you might have, yeah, and I think this is why we're really thrilled about watching along with Chenjay, because anything can happen, and we wouldn't want something to happen with Alex Bitter. Yeah, he had a nice clean move down the inside of turn 1. He's now through clean into 13th in that Haas, but yeah, Chenjay, he's putting Alex Bitter under a lot of pressure, and I imagine Chenjay might even be having a little bit of difficulty catching Alex, because he knows that he's being watched. He knows that he is being monitored in close succession with Alex Bitter. Of course, Alex Bitter has his own pit wall and pit board coming out every lap in Wisp, so it's a lot of fun, these fun little situations.
Good look now, Stripian, but I think some idiot might have this little thing called Valor in his rearview mirrors. Now the gap's down to 7.5 tenths with only a few laps remaining. I don't think the rain's going to be coming in time for these guys to really warrant the switch onto the intermediates. So I think these drivers, they're going to be going to the end of the race on the tires they're currently on. Valor has done a superb job to catch up to some idiot. Now the gap's now 6 tenths. Going into 5.5, down to 5. He's gaining.
I think he's finally going to get him. Well. Oh, so tight.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. They're side by side heading through into turn 1, but Chenjay is now clean through. And now Alex Bitter has been relegated down into 6th place. Chenjay up into 5th. And he's now got a 2-second gap to chase down to Brownie in the other Ferrari.
Oh, this is
absolutely
intense.
Incredible.
Yeah, this has been a very action-packed race here.
Microlander on the back of BTFU. He's trying to make something happen on these mediums as the softs start to wear it just a little bit. But they certainly don't seem to be worrying out a lot for Valo. He's maintained that 5/10 gap, and it's even still closing. It's still closing, Strifium. And we have only a few laps left in this one. Could Valo snatch the race win?
Going to be interesting to see how his softs hold up. I think there may be a point in the next 2 laps where they hit a cliff where somebody might be quicker.
The first few drops have now started to come as well. I'm seeing them on my screen heading on, just watching Valo through 130R. Yes, the rain has started, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of lap 24 of 27. They'll have 3 laps in these changing conditions to really make anything that they can. The gap's now 3 tenths, down to 2.5. Valo, who's on 1% battery, some idiot defending, he now returns to the racing line. Oh my goodness, if Valo is able to keep this gap for 1 more lap and this rain isn't going to be heavy enough to, cancel that DRS, Valo might actually have a shot at snatching the win of this race.
Sindako has honed in quite closely now to the rear of, yes, your favorite Ferrari, Iv Suzuki. That's Alex Bitter there, holding on to 6th position. He was just passed by Chenjay on lap 24. Getting my tongue tied up there. BTFU and Michael Lander have finally exchanged. As you said, Michael Lander looking to push through on some medium compound rubber. But now the raindrops are coming through, and this is going to present a very unique situation.
John and Rackety have come together in the S's. Rackety seems to really be struggling in these changing conditions. They made their way through Dunlop on lap 25. Remco actually got a puncture. That's why he's in the pits, so didn't quite see that one. He'll be serving that, it looks like a 5-second time penalty or something, but Valu back at the front of this grid. The gap 4/10 in it, 3.5 as we make our way down into the chicane. The rain is certainly falling. There's a very, very little grip out there. Remco's decided to go on the intermediates. Why not? You're in last place anyway, trying to risk it. But some minute, he's gotten the better run out of the final quarter. We're now on lap 26 and 27. The DRS, the overtake, is it going to be enough? No, it's not. The gap only goes down to 1/10 between the two leaders. And Valu is doing everything that he can to try and make his way past this Williams. Who would have thought it'd be a Williams and a Haas fighting for the lead of this race? But ladies and gentlemen, with equal cars in these league races, that's what happens sometimes. These are the two fastest drivers here on the circuit at the moment. They've proven it with their consistency as well to make their way into these top two. Chenje, after that spin, Remco is now spun at the second Degner. He's now cost somebody lots of time, and now Valu, he's within a tenth. Does he go for it? Yes, he does. He's up the inside into the hairpin. Somebody has to leave the space, but it's not going to be enough. And in these tricky conditions, Valu can't just can't get the bite in those tires. But somebody, he's got the run now. Is he going to look at the inside of the spoon? Yes, he is. Down the inside of the spoon on the penultimate lap of this race. Some idiot, he's holding it round the outside. Valu, there's side-by-side strip for him. Down the back straight, heading into 130R. Some idiot, he has the left swings. He's using that overtake. Absolutely nothing in it between these two. Some idiot, he's now ahead. But Valu, I think DRS is still active. He's going for a lunge into the Casio. Into the third to last corner. Some idiot, he's going to squeeze him onto the curb. Swifty there on the gravel. You just got to watch. And they're side-by-side. Still stripping him. This is the battle for the lead of this race. I'm losing my voice right now.
Well, I'll take over here, Mick.
He's through.
He's through. He's into the lead of this race, Mick, as we move down into turn one. Some idiot not going to be too thrilled about this. Are these softs going to hold up? The circuit is degrading. The tires aren't going to be as they should through the finish of this race. The rain is coming down here. The circuit is picking up with water. And you can see that there's a yellow flag being shown. DRS has been disabled, and the rain is just starting to come down now. You know it's enters condition when that is starting to happen. The DRS has been disabled from race control, but look at Valu. These softs have come in perfectly for him at the perfect time. He's got just a little bit more pace right now. Maybe he's handling these conditions, but he's had a big snap. But so is some idiot coming out of the second Degner. Will he be able to catch up? It's less than a second in it between these two.
Esking on Yoda as well. Esking in this battle for 8th place. He's gotten past Yoda, who's struggling on those old hards. I think that's Remco who spun it at the start-finish straight. But the gap now between these two at the front, 1.1 seconds in these very, very tricky conditions. I think the softs compared to these harder compounds are able to keep the temperature in the tires. But Astray, he's gone off just as he's overtaken Brainstew. And Brainstew's off in the gravel as well. Everyone is struggling in these conditions. Everyone's going off. Everyone's slipping and sliding. It's only Remco back through this.
Lucky B's made it ahead of Yoda for 9th position as we make our way down into Spoon. Valu has made it ahead of some idiot out of 130R now. He's coming through the Casio Triangle, that final chicane. You can see he's struggling here. How's some idiot going to go? He's drifted off. Does the exit? What an exit out of the Williams. Does he get him there? There's a big snap. Oh no, and he's drifting it across the line. That was so slippery out of the Williams. Nigel now in third. Brownie, will he get him? How are the penalties going to come down in this? It's Brownie fourth. Shenje gets them both into third. The AlphaTauri with a podium. Wow, what a race finale we've had here. Sindako claims 6. Alex Bitto, ladies and gentlemen, has finished the Japanese Grand Prix in 7th position.
BCFU and Rackety are still very, very close on this track. They're heading through the Casio now. BCFU, he's tapped. He's made contact with the McLaren. He can't stop that car. And I think that's just a true testament to all of the driving here. I think Michael Lander, he's spun it across the line. What a race! You're just waiting on Freeway and Yama to make their way across the start finish line. They're making their way through Sector 2 as we speak. And Remco as well. He's drifting it through 130R. Spinning it around. Keep it out of the wall? No, he doesn't.
That would have been quite clean if he could, but he's just having a little bit of fun. And he is the only driver on the right tires at this finale of the race, I have to say. He's on the inters, Mikhail. He is on the inters. But of course, if you have been joining us, what a fantastic race that was. We are going to have 20 racers finishing here in Suzuka for Tier 1 action. Don't go too far. We are going to just finish things up, but once we do, we're going to rate a member of the F1 community, and we always love to have as many people as we can jump into those raids, surprise someone in the community, and well,
we won't have 20 finishes, Striff.
Well, he finished 99%, 99.997, we'll say.
997, and yeah, Yama just gonna reverse. I think he's gonna push. No, he's not gonna go Lightning McQueen style, pushing Remco over the line. But, ladies and gentlemen, what a thrilling Japanese Grand Prix! Wow, Valu, driver of the day, mate, absolutely stellar. Qualifying on those mediums, getting the start that he needed. Able to take those mediums so far, put on a fresh set of softs at the end. He was able to catch up to some idiot and pass him and keep that car under control in some appalling conditions. Well done, sir. Well deserved.
You almost sound like you want to do a shoey for him. Give him that Australian love, of course. What a race. What a race. It was such... Not a single safety car. I don't even believe we had a VSC in this one, Mikhail. This was just a straight battle. Just a straight battle to the finish. Look at the best times as well. So tight in this grid matchup. The pace was just on point today. Valu 11th to 1st. Some idiot 3rd to 2nd. Shenjie from pole finishing in 3rd after, well, what ended up being a recovery sprint for him after losing it through Spoon. You'll see that in the highlights, of course, which you can find on our YouTube. Nigel in 4th from 2nd. Brownie 6th to 5th. He gains a position. Sindaco, the Italian, 14th to 6th. Alex drops 2 positions, but he finishes the race better than he did last year, and so he'll be happy with that, I'm sure. King in 8th from 12th. It's Yoda from 10th to 9th, and Becky from 16th to 10, rounding out the top 10 finishers here for this one, Mikhail.
Yeah, in the back 10, Astrodite in that P11 slot, just outside the points. Good drive from Astrodite as well, from 18th on the grid. Microlander having an appalling one there. Just couldn't control that car, just got in a few incidents. He was putting so much pressure on Alex Bitter in the first half of this race, but he's now down in 12th from 4th on this grid. Jean from the back has made his way up into 13th, so solid effort from him. Rackety gaining one as well into 14th. BCFU in 15th, Brainstew in 16th, Freeware 17th, Yama in 18th, and Swifty and Remco, the only 2 drivers to be a lap down, or 2 laps down, in the case of Remco Verpoon, just unable to cross the timing line at the end of that one.
That was just thrilling campaign, and what a way to really set the bar for tomorrow's club division race as well, Mikhail. We have one more Japanese Grand Prix. That is tomorrow. That is at 8 p.m. GMT, of course, 2 p.m. Central. And that is going to be the final round around Suzuka this week for the Misfits Racing League. That is the club division. Of course, if you're looking for any highlights, replays, circuit guides, podcasts, all that stuff can be found on our YouTube channel. Of course, if you're new, help us out. Hit that follow button. We do 5 static league races per week. So there's a ton of wheel-to-wheel action that can be found here. Of course, my name is Stryfium. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, I'm hailing from Canada. Mikhail from Australia. I am just blown away at that race and just the racing overall today. This was our 3rd race today. We had Oceanic this morning, in my case, this afternoon for those in the UK, and, well, last night for you, Mikhail. And then we had, of course, Tier 2 and now Tier 1. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in for all of the action, and thank you so much for hanging with us in the chat as well. But with that...
Yeah, so be sure to join us for Club tomorrow at 8 p.m. GMT. And also, I believe that we'll have an endurance soon-ish, maybe. Be sure to keep an eye out for that. For
Not
Bahrain,
this
which should
weekend,
be
the following, I believe.
The following weekend, yeah. That's always a lot of fun. And Bahrain, a circuit that has the potential for a lot of great racing. So be sure to mark that one in your calendars. That one will be on Saturday week. at 11 p.m. GMT, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. Around then sometime, but be sure to join us then, and then be sure to join us for Club. The what do you call it, Striff? The sandbox? Bit of everything?
The sandbox, yeah. You got all the drivers, a lot of the fast drivers from around the divisions, if you will. And, you know, it's really cool to see when you get all of those racers, the lead drivers, into the equation. Anyway, with that, we are going to wrap things up. We hope you have a fantastic, fantastic evening, and we hope to see you once again tomorrow for Club Division. If not, we'll see you, well, some other time. Of course, we're going to head on over and raid. We hope you enjoy this outro. If anyone was wondering what we were talking about with Alex Bitto, well, you'll enjoy this. See you guys next time.